Well, President Akufo-Addo is accusing his political opponent of masterminding what he describes as a false narrative that he was responsible for the death of his late wife. The president also says the same group of political opponents are behind the rumor mongering of the controversial Ejapade book, which authors say represents a grand scheme for state capture. Under President Akufo-Addo speaking at the Ghana Report Summit under the theme dealing with misinformation and disinformation in the upcoming elections, President Akufo-Addo called on Ghanaians to reject fake news. As he says, politics must be based on issues devoid of personal attacks.
Disinformation campaigns often exploit societal divisions and amplify existing tensions, posing a risk to social cohesion. We've witnessed how such campaigns can incite violence and disrupt public order, as seen in other parts of the world. In the run-up to the 2008, 2012, and 2016 presidential elections, and Madam Sani, I'm not here to settle scores, I was the target of numerous false and malicious stories aimed at attacking my credibility and integrity. In 2008, baseless allegations of drug trafficking were spread, along with numerous rumors about my health intended to cast doubt on my ability to serve as president. President Kufuor was also accused in 2008 of having sold all of Ghana's gold reserves. Again, the 2012 election saw false reports of my alleged arrest in London for drug possession and fabricated quotes designed to stir ethnic tensions. In 2016, it was alleged by sympathizers of the opposition that I had killed my late wife. Today, with a few months to the December 2024 elections, they are at it again. A fabricated document entitled Ejapade is being peddled around by operatives of the opposition as evidence of a grand scheme by my party to annex the assets of the state. These experiences underscore the importance of discerning truth from falsehood and the need for all of us to remain vigilant against the dangers of misinformation and disinformation. As we approach the 2024 general elections, we have to address these challenges head-on. We should take proactive measures to curb the spread of false information and ensure that the public has access to accurate and reliable information. In today's digital age, the media, both traditional and digital, is central to shaping public opinion. It is essential that media outlets adhere to the highest standards of journalistic integrity and accuracy. Journalists must be vigilant in verifying information before dissemination, and media houses must prioritize fact-checking and correcting false reports.
Then speaking at this forum, Blessed Soga was there for us and joins us via Zoom with more. Blessed. So what else came up at the Ghana Report Summit?
Yes.
Hello, Blessed. You were at this particular summit where the president was speaking. I want to find out from you what else came up at this particular summit that you were.
Well, so basically the summit was seeking to deal with issues surrounding misinformation and disinformation. And we had the president there, the Chief Justice and the National Security Minister, as well as the leadership of the Ghana Police Service. The indication clearly is that there must be a collective resolve as a country to deal with issues relating to misinformation and disinformation, a reason for which the president had to play out his concerns, the attacks on him, which he says forms the need for his government to initiate a strategic approach, or what is being called a national plan to tackle misinformation and disinformation.
Okay. Now, after he said what he put out there, were there some reactions from which camp? What did they say?
Well, the National Democratic Congress has a reservation about the process. They are warning that this must be handled cautiously so as to prevent a crackdown on dissent, because they feel that, yes, you must, of course, or as a nation, can have a national plan to tackle the spread of false information. However, that should not run into an attack on the media or on the use of social media, a reason for which representatives of the NDC at this forum raised a concern broadly that we must, of course, be open and transparent about the national plan so everyone can make an input to make it a bit more receptive to the society.
Okay. After they said this, was there a response from government side, the Ministry of Information, for example?
No clear response here from government on what will be done, except to say that the belief is that the process leading up to this national plan was transparent. It's just the case that there wasn't enough participation from the opposition political party, a reason for which they might have been raising these concerns. But in the absence of that, generally, there is broad consensus that something has to be done about misinformation and disinformation.
Okay, all right. Thank you. So that's Blasa Soga, my colleague who was at this particular summit. Let's broaden the conversation and touch base on the implications of misinformation and disinformation. Kathleen Addy is the chairperson of the National Commission for Civic Education. She joins me in the studio for us to do this conversation. Grateful to you. Thanks for coming on the show today. Great. Now let's start from, we have disinformation and misinformation.
Yes.
What clearly differentiates between the two?
Right. So disinformation has to do with sort of deliberately putting out information that misleads people. You know, that's some kind of propaganda that, you know, is deliberate.
Okay.
Misinformation is doing the same thing inadvertently, like,
Okay.
you know, without intending to. So you receive information on your phone, you haven't checked, you don't know, you just assume it's true. You also forward, that sort of thing. That's misinformation. Disinformation is the deliberate action that has the same effects of spreading information when you know very well that it's not true.
Not true.
Or, yes, or it's meant to create confusion or to bring division and all of that.
How can someone spot that this is misinformation or this is disinformation?
Well, I think that from the point of view of the user, whether it's misinformation or disinformation, the important thing is that one has to be cautious about not becoming part of the problem by going on to further share information that you are not sure of, and so that we stop it from going around. Because the thing is that it is information mostly on social media, yes, some in media houses as well, mostly on social media that is going around, and people, it hits you on your WhatsApp, it's in your feed, and then the natural inclination is to also click forward or click share. What we are doing is trying to create the awareness so people have the consciousness, because sometimes you do it without ill intent.
Yeah.
You think that this is interesting, let me just forward it to the next person. But we are asking people to take a step back before you share anything, unless you know for a fact. Just take a step back and ask yourself, you know, give it some more thought. And if you think that is something that, if proven to be untrue, will create a problem, will bring division, will create a certain emotional reaction, or will go to, you know, impugn, you know, something on somebody's character, or deceive. If you think that the information in front of you, when you forward it, will do any of those things, and you are not sure if it's true or not, we are asking that you exercise patience and you know, and caution, and you don't forward.
Okay. From where you sit, what do you think will be the, or have we started seeing misinformation and disinformation play a role in the lead up to the election of December 7th?
Oh, absolutely. And I don't think that, I don't think it's surprising to anybody.
Okay.
I don't think it's new. I don't even think that this is the first election that we are having such a heavy, you know, element of misinformation,
Also,
disinformation.
it's heavy.
I think it's getting more and more, right? Especially the bit that is done deliberately, you know, where people with interests are using the social media platforms to put out information that serves their interest, but these bits of information are not true. So we are seeing more and more of it. It's very disturbing, because I always say that from the point of view of the user, perception is reality. If what you see, you believe, your reaction will be based on that. Your reaction would not be based on what will be called the truth, because what you in front of you is what represents truth, even if it's not true. And so, and that is why it's dangerous. And that is why, and those who put out information, misinformation, disinformation, they know that this is dangerous. They know that they're looking for a certain reaction. They're looking for you to sympathize with their cause. They're looking for you to believe their message. They're looking for you to, you know, disregard another person's message or see somebody else in a negative light. And so for those putting the information out there, the perpetrators, they are very clear in their mind. It's part of an agenda. And we are seeing it more and more, be it in the political messaging, be it has to do with other things leading to the election. So it's a real problem that needs addressing.
So you mentioned that it's not only about in the political terrain, right?
Yes.
So do we know what is leading to the rise in dis and misinformation?
Well, I think the opportunity is greater, you know, with the advent of social media and the platforms, the Facebook and X and all of that. You have more opportunity because you think about it, before social media came along, you will wait for the 7 o'clock news or the midday news, and more or less you will take that as the news, right? Now we live in an era where you can be the news, you can generate the news. Anybody at all with a smartphone, very basic smartphone, even a smartphone that doesn't have the social media platforms, as long as it has WhatsApp, you are also a news generator or information generator. So I think the opportunity is one, and then there's a way in which the politics has gotten more divisive, let me put it that way, and the stakes for every election have become much higher. And so I guess those seeking power are constantly looking for ways to just be ahead, one step ahead of their opponent. And that's also one of those things. But I think it's the accessibility, really. It's so easy. It is so easy. Even today, forget messaging. I can pick up my phone, make a video, edit it on the phone. I don't need a studio with an editing suite. I don't need access. I just need to download a software. I will get it for free. I can do what I want. I can change. Now with AI and deepfakes, I can even go beyond just the editing for speech. You can edit for video, change people. It's so easy, So the accessibility, I think, is the major driver here. In addition to the fact that people are looking for more and more ways to influence other people for one reason or the other.
On that background, how concerned is the NCC then for the December 7th election?
Right.
With what you've laid down?
Yes. I mean, NCC is very concerned. If you look at our 4 broad areas of focus for public education for the election, misinformation, and this is one. Just coming back from Tamale yesterday, where across the country we have been undertaking activities, drumming home the point that a forward may be nothing to you, but it has implications for you, for your family, for your community, for the country, because, we are going into the season, tensions are high normally, the situation we find ourselves in. But the more critical thing for us when it comes to this thing and its capacity to further divide society is the fact that the context of this election has another layer of insecurity, and that has to do with instability in the West African sub-region. And the fact that there are all kinds of forces at play, destabilizing countries, there are coups and all of those things. And misinformation and disinformation plays a big role in those things that we are seeing going on in the other countries in West Africa.
Yes.
Yes, so because it is used to mobilize,
Yeah.
it is used to spread false information, it is used to create panic situations, and all of these things are part of a broad agenda. So for us, we have to be careful. We have the normal disagreements and misunderstandings that come with elections, right? This time around, we can't just, we can't take it as business as usual because we are vulnerable. We have a layer of vulnerability because of the context of the sub-region. So more than ever, we must be more vigilant about these things that have the potential to destabilize the state. If we allow misinformation to run riot, if we don't do enough public education to help the citizens understand how to consume information, how to use information, and how to spread information, then we have a situation where this is going on and it creates opportunity for external forces, to infiltrate and create further problems for us. We have enough problems as it is. There's enough insecurity and vulnerability, generally speaking, that comes with elections already. So if we are not careful about, and it's not just misinformation and disinformation, but it plays a big role. The instability that we don't want. This is one of the avenues through which we can start going in that direction.
Do stakeholders see it the way you see it? I mean, stakeholders in this, particularly the election, because of the whole background you laid about, because of the access of technology,
yes,
and to mobile phone and to social media, people can propagate anything they want. So
when you say stakeholders, who are you talking about?
I mean, we have an election coming up. There are stakeholder political parties,
right?
All these,
right.
So what have you? Do we see it from the way you are seeing it? Because it's a bit scary if we take it from that.
Oh, it is very scary, and it is very serious, and we really have to take it that way, as serious as, Well, I think that there's general awareness. The problem with this thing is that people always feel that, oh, what I am doing is not that bad. And that is the other person or the other stakeholder who is doing the very bad one. Because mine is not that bad. It's just like something drops in your WhatsApp. When you forward it to a group of 200 people, you think that, oh, it's just a forward, I'm just, But if all of them also do exactly what you did, then you can see, the exponential spread of that information. So stakeholders are aware, but we need to drum home the point so that people are not just aware, but have the consciousness, and understanding of what is at stake. Not, like I said, not just on a personal or even political level, but what is at stake when it comes to the stability of the state. So, yes, there's awareness, but we need to add layers and layers of consciousness. We need to work to let people understand how to consume information, that what you see may not necessarily be what it is. Have awareness of how far the AI can take us, the deepfakes can take us. Sometimes you show people, sometimes you see things about yourself and you are really shocked.
Yeah.
I did not know I was there last night. But yes, stakeholders are aware, that much I can say very confidently, but we need a certain consciousness beyond awareness, not just for stakeholders, right? But for citizens, for consumers of information. I think that's where the critical point is. I was at that program this morning. One of the things I said was that we need to invest in public education because one of the ways to weaken this whole thing is for people to be able to look at information and make smart decisions for themselves. So if I have the awareness and I see all these things popping up from political operatives and other stakeholders and all of that, I know that this is the season. I know that if it ends with me, if I don't share it, it will stop. Because the people who are putting it out there, they're looking for a certain outcome. If after a while they realize that they are putting a lot of energy into this type of communications, but it is not yielding the needed results, they will stop. Because in this election season, no political party has time to be wasting on things that don't have impact.
Yeah.
So if we get to a point where there's so much awareness and there's such a consciousness that people may see it, but it will not influence their decision-making process, it will not influence what the next step that they will take. After a while, that side will be, so if the demand, the supply side will also die down. If the demand side goes down, the supply side will also go down to match it. But more importantly, it is critical that those who manufacture the information, the roots of the problem, they are the ones that we need to find ways of reaching them. I think that there must be consequences. And not and the issue of consequences is very delicate because you don't want to also overreach because the consequences will be exerted by who? Ultimately the state, because if it's the judiciary, if it's the police, if it's whoever agencies in charge, that is a representation of the state. And the last thing you want is the state that is too enthusiastic about the consequences.
Okay.
So you don't want a state that goes beyond. In the bid to solve this problem, you just use the opportunity to overreach and then now start to impugn on people's rights, you know, because we still have the right to expression, free expression. We still have the right to information and all of those things. And so it's very, very delicate. And that's why as much as possible, these sorts of events are important because it's good to have, you should have been there. We had a panel that had representatives of the two major political parties, and they spoke freely, respectfully. It was a demonstration also of how we can conduct the politics in a way. We don't need to agree, otherwise we won't be doing multi-party democracy. The multi-party means multiple parties. But it was nice to see that they could agree to disagree, they could state their points strongly, and we had a very, very civilized panel. It was fantastic.
So you describe it as fantastic.
Yes.
But when it moves from there and it trickles down, that's where the problem is.
Yes.
So do you know why that is the case? Is it a case that the people they really understand what the issues are, or they appreciate where we are, and so we don't need to do things that would jeopardize, but when you go down, they don't seem to understand what really the issue?
We must teach people how to behave properly. That's one.
We haven't done that.
Not enough of that. Not enough has been invested in the public education element of trying to curb misinformation and disinformation.
Is it deliberate?
I don't know. But what I want to say is that if you see it as a problem and you have a set of policy solutions, a solution could be putting out new laws, there's policy solutions, there's technology solutions, but there's a public education solution. And none of these is standing alone. They must work together. So when you're looking at your tech solutions, and we had a tech representative on the panel as well, when you're looking at your technology solutions, and you're looking at solutions including how to hold the owners of the major social media platforms accountable for the things that they allow to spread on their platforms. For instance, people, you know, if you have enough of a following on any of the platforms, you could monetize.
Yeah.
So we must ensure that the owners of the platforms do not reward. Do you understand? Misinformation and disinformation.
Oh, okay.
You see what I mean?
Okay.
So
so you're talking about the fact that Facebook, for example,
yes,
should be able to say we want to reward this person, even though you have the following.
Yes.
But because of
the content, because of what you're putting out, you will not fall into the category of people who can monetize this sort of content because it is clear or it has been proven that there is misinformation and disinformation in the content you're producing. So it doesn't matter if you have millions and millions of followers. This one we will not monetize. Okay. So you can, those sorts of solutions are there. Ultimately, you also have to have an informed public. You have to have informed citizens who are using information the right way, who are using information to serve them, you know, for their own self-interest, to serve them properly. And that's where the public education comes in. So what I'm saying is that you must have a bouquet of solutions. It's not one over the other. Okay. And it is important that the tech solutions, and the reason why it's skewed is that it's easier to do. Okay. It's easier to put in different technology elements, you know. It's easy to come up with policies and laws. The public education part is not easy because, you know, it's not as that easy to see the impact almost immediately and all of that. But that is where it's actually important. If you get that part right, you would not need to do so much investment in the other part. Okay. Because people will know how to consume the information and therefore will not be easily led astray by misinformation. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
When people have the understanding and the consciousness, if you do that investment and you do it well, then you will not need to invest so much the other elements, because the motivation for even people to use those resources will go down. Not won't be there, will definitely
it will
go down.
But you are the head of that institution that has to do the public education.
Yes.
So you don't have the funds to do that.
Well, it doesn't mean it's not being done. I don't know if I started by saying, but I just came from Tamale. We are holding events all across the country.
No, but again, you've made a point that we're not investing too much.
We are not investing enough, for sure. But that is not to say that work is not going on.
Okay.
But definitely, we could use more investment for these sorts of things. So yesterday, we had these town hall meetings in 2 chiefs' palaces in Tamale, the Choguna and the Bupena, if I got it right. And so here in these forums, we have a cross-section of society. We have students, we have opinion leaders, we have officials, we have the traditional rulers, and then we highlight these things to that kind of group. And when we did 2 of those events in one day, and across, the area, we are still doing it. So we may not be able to afford a big thing on Joy, but we will take advantage of these opportunities that you gave us. But definitely work is going on. But once we begin to understand the impact that a well-informed populace, will have on all of this. A well-informed populace will have a great impact on the fight against misinformation and disinformation. Once we understand that, then it is clear that more investment into the public education solution should also be considered.
Okay. See, I was asking because when I was young, in my community, we used to have these NCC cars come there. Sometimes they show documentaries for us to watch and all of that. It's not something we do see.
We don't see a lot of it now because, resources. But, it's coming up. Last year we bought a few pickups. This year we are buying a few more. Hopefully we can get it all out, in a couple of weeks. And then we will see more and more of that. I mean, I'm always trying to look ahead and see what is being done well, right? Even as we highlight the needs of the institution. Okay. And the truth of the matter is that, we got up to a slow start this year. It took a while for the funds to start coming through. But as we speak, we're making a little more progress. Okay. And so a lot of work, a lot of stuff is going on around the country. And, we are building to a point where we will be coming to even the major media houses with some of this work that we are doing. But NCC is a grassroots organization, and the real strength there is the public education, the community-based public education. And that thing is not glamorous, It's not it's not fanciful. So it doesn't, it's like I come and sit here, talking to you in your nice, beautiful studio. That part is important.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
But when we used to sit on the floor and we're watching the screen.
Yes.
That sort of thing.
That sort of thing. Yeah. But you will still find, there's lots of, in the districts, you find in the marketplaces, lorry parks, we find the staff with the car and the horns, reaching out to the public. Definitely not enough. Okay. Definitely not enough, but it's definitely going on as well.
Okay. So more funding should come.
Please.
From government,
yes,
from international organizations.
And from corporate Ghana.
Corporate Ghana.
Because if this country works, it works for your benefit. If the country falls apart, your investment is at stake. So it is so important that the corporate Ghana sees NCC as an important investment or an important place to park their corporate social responsibility. It doesn't get more corporate social responsibility than civic education, right? Okay. And so it's not just government and donors. In fact, if I had my way, it would be government and corporate, together or apart, but actively making sure that we have the support we need to be able to, because when we are able to have the good citizens with all the qualities that will make them great nation builders, they are great for business. If one of the biggest issues that corporate bodies have will tell you that, when you hire people, they can't do this, sometimes I don't want to go into it, but they have problems with staffing and people's attitudes and things like that. So when we do the investment to have the right kind of citizen with the right attitude, oriented for nation building, it is good for corporate as well, because they make ideal workers.
Yeah.
So the investment must come from everywhere.
And when the nation is not stable,
Yes.
the corporate organizations will lose
Yes.
their investments.
They lose their
So they should.
investment, yes.
How much was your budget this year?
Okay, so these are rough numbers, right?
Okay.
I can't, but I think for goods and services from where we do our programming, maybe 20-something million. That was the budget.
And how much have you been given?
Oh, we are halfway into the year, so maybe if we add third quarter, we'll probably be maybe halfway to 3/4 of it.
Halfway to 3/4 of it,
Yes.
so you're left with a quarter.
Yes,
for
no,
you to-
we are not like, no.
3/4.
The third quarter hasn't come. Third quarter will come maybe next week. So I'm saying that if you add that,
Then you
we
are-
will be halfway to 3/4 way into the
okay.
budget. Do you understand?
No, you need to break it down for somebody like me to
Yeah, but
understand.
the
I'm
thing
not a
is,
mathematics person, so
Neither
break
am
it down.
I. Neither am I.
Okay.
We also have capex with which we are buying some vehicles, some
Because
pickups, some motorbikes.
Your budget was around 20 million.
That was
So-
for goods and services.
Okay, so
we have a
for- so-
separate budget for
Yeah,
capex.
I get it. So out of the 20 million, how much have you been given?
Okay, so like I said, we got off to a slow start. So first quarter was not very good. We didn't get much.
Okay.
Second quarter to third quarter, if you put it together, we may be maybe 10, 12, 15, somewhere thereabout.
Okay, all right, okay.
So like I said, we got off to a slow start. First quarter was very slow. Second quarter, we started getting our releases. And it's a lot of advocacy and pressure to make sure that we get there. Because these are approved budgets,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So we are working very hard to churn it out. So for instance, one of our major projects that we normally undertake, the Matters of Concern, which is a major survey that we normally undertake every election year. We've got off to a late start, but we've started, you understand?
All right.
Ideally, we should have concluded and be writing our report by now, but it started late, but it started. So maybe in about a month thereabout, we'll have what we need to be able to put out the report.
Okay.
So that's what it is. We are looking forward to getting full clearance to be able to get the vehicles so that we'll have more visibility and we'll have...
To start doing the education,
education
about
and
misinformation and
yeah.
disinformation. But there are also considerations of a law to try and see if we can regulate what goes out there. Would you support such a law? That there's a legislation to check
regulate
disinformation
what?
and misinformation. You're checking how people put out fake news.
I think that there's enough law around that.
Okay.
And then also, I think that at the event this morning, I think they said they're coming up with some kind of roadmap guideline.
Yes, the plan.
The plan,
national plan.
the national plan as well. And I hope that those putting the plan together take on board the comments of the others who want to be part of the process from the beginning and not just to be consulted at the end.
Okay.
So that if they build it together, then it has a cross-party, cross-stakeholder acceptance. It's better for all of us. So all of that is going on. All of that is going on. But I think that I don't honestly believe that that is the only solution. It is an important solution, putting out more laws. But you know, we in Ghana, we Ghana, you know, we have a reputation for putting out laws and not implement. That's why I'm hesitating.
Okay.
We must do more than just that. It's not enough to say we have a law for it. We must actually implement. You know, when people make reports that they are victims of disinformation, they must see a process, you know, a robust process that brings a solution in time to give you relief.
Okay.
You know, people must see that. It's work, and that's the only way to trigger deterrence. You know, deterrence only comes when people get a sense that if you do it, there's a consequence, and the consequence is swift.
Okay.
You know,
All right.
yeah.
There's a lot to talk to you about,
Yes.
and I've enjoyed talking to you.
Please
but-
call me back. We like the free airtime. And thank
sure.
you, Multimedia and Joy FM. Like I said, we are not always able to afford these platforms. So when you give us free time like this, much appreciated.
All right then, Madam Kathleen Addy, I'm grateful for passing.
I am
through.
grateful. Thank you.
She heads the NCCE.